All right, first thing we're going to talk about with getting started is casting on. In the swatching videos, I talked a little bit about how to do a loose cast on. And I talked about how you want to space it when you do a long tail cast on. So I've got two different color threads here that I'm going to use to work on a pseudo example. And I've got the two different colors because it's going to make it easier to see your tail versus your working yarn. So the first step is you measure out how long of a tail you want. Generally, like for instance, on my sweater, I need to cast on 100 stitches. So I would take my yarn and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, slide it down, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20. That's 20 stitches worth of yarn. And then I would double it, that's 40. Then I would add another length, that's 60. Then I would add another length, that's 80. Then I would add, my yarn is getting knotted up here, another length, and that would be 100. And then that's where I would put my slip knot. Since I have two strands here, I don't need to worry about that because one of them is going to be my tail and one of them is going to be my working yarn. So we'll pretend that I've counted this out and have my 100 stitches worth of yarn here. I keep dropping my needle. All right, bear with me. So first step is make a slip knot. I take the yarn, make a circle, put the tail underneath the circle, put my needle in between the circle and the tail, and then pull. And I'm going to pull it taut. As soon as I stop dropping my needles. This is why I like circular needles, because if I do this with straight needles and double points, I'm doing this all the time. All right, so there I am. I will use the pink as my tail, and I will use the green as my working yarn. And it does not matter whether you have your tail in the front or the back. It's just a matter of how I happen to grab it. So you have the two threads hanging down. You put your thumb and your forefinger in here between the threads and pull it down. Now to do the long tail, you go around the thread in your thumb, around the thread at your forefinger, pull it through that loop and out. And the thing that's going to determine whether this stitch is loose or tight is not how loose or tight the green thread is on your needle, but rather the amount of space that you have on the pink thread, because the pink thread is controlling the length of your knitting and the green thread is controlling the height of your knitting. A lot of people will use a larger needle when they want a looser cast on, and what that larger needle does is it gives you a bigger loop, which gives you a floppier cast on, but it doesn't give you a stretchier cast on. So to get a stretchier cast on, you want to make sure that your spacing between these is a little bit further apart. So I usually do that at least 1/4 of an inch apart, like that. Now, I also do a variation of the long tail, which is usually referred to as a German cast on. You start it off exactly the same way. And remember, it's the pink that's controlling how stretchy or not my cast on is. So when I do this, if I get more pink thread in here, I get a somewhat more sturdy stitch, but I also get a stretchy stitch. So what I'm going to do now is, instead of just going like this, I'm going under both threads. See that? I'm going under both threads. Then I'm coming back around that second thread like that. Then what I'm going to do is pull the green through that little triangular area and then pull it tight. So again, I go under both, around that inside one. I'm pulling my thumb so that I get this little triangular area. Then I'm pulling the green through the triangular area like that. Then I use my thumb to pull it tight. The trick to this is to make sure when you're pulling this that you are actually pulling it nice and snug, that you're balancing these stitches out. You still want your spacing to be 1/4 of an inch, okay? But if you want it to be a nice, neat looking stitch, you're going to make sure that you give these, the pink and the green, a tug so that they're balanced at the bottom of your row of stitches. Okay, again, around, under both, around the inner one, give it a little tug to even it out, pull the green through that triangle, and then pull the pink nice and snug. Around, under the both, around the inner, make your little triangle there, pull the green through the triangle, and pull the pink tight. Under both, around the inner, pull the green through the triangle, and pull it tight. Oh, let me pull that tight. This pink is kind of tacky, so it's not sliding as nicely as I might like. So you see how, now look at this. I don't know how well you can see this. Let me give this, there we go. Let me find my little double point needle here for a minute. All right, here it is. If you look at, these are the stitches I did with the ordinary long tail, and you see how they look. And these are the stitches I just did with the German cast on. Do you see how they have a little, like an extra little bit of yarn in here? And what that does is it makes an extremely stretchy cast on. So here's my actual sweater that I've started. And this is the cast on edge. This is my 100 stitches, right? Right there. But now, I don't even know if I can do this that you can see it, but do you see how much that stretches? So it looks like there's no way I'm going to get something like this over my head. I mean, you can see it's, if I measure this cast on edge as it is, let's do this. My cast on edge is about, it's 7 inches on the ruler, so it's about 14 inches around. And yet when I stretch it, let me put my ruler here. When I stretch it, I can get it to 12, you can't see that, 12 inches, so it's 24 inches around. That's how stretchy that cast on is. And at the same time, when it's not stretched, it's nice and sturdy. It's not floppy looking. It's not loopy looking. It's a nice edge. So that's why I like the German cast on. So what I'm going to do with this little sample piece now is I'll keep these stitches on here. So I'll drop this first one off. But this, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 stitches so far. When I do this, I use the counting thread idea again. So I'm going to do, oh, no, wait, I'm doing the wrong one. So that's 8. 9. 10. 11. All right, so I'm after my 11th, I'm going to put in, let me grab a couple markers here. Let's see, I'll want 1, 2. I'm not going to put on 100 stitches here, but I'm just going to show you. To begin with, let's say I'm putting on 50 stitches for my sample. I'm going to make a tiny little sweater. I put an extra stitch on the very beginning. So if I want this first part, I'm going to count by tens. This first one, I'm going to have 11 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 11. So I'm going to put a marker in there. Okay. Now I'm going to do 10 more. 1. Oh. Sorry, I keep doing the long tail instead of doing the German cast on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see how I'm pulling on that pink to get that nice and steady there? And do you see how I'm keeping my spaces between the stitches at about 1/4 of an inch? 5. If you have trouble finding the little triangle to put this green thing through, bend your thumb and it opens it up. 6. See how if I bend my thumb, I can see that real easily. 7. 8. 9. It's splitting now. 10. All right, now I'm going to put a different color marker in. And I'm just going to pause this, finish up adding my stitches on because you don't need to watch me do all this. And I'll be back in just a minute.